At the infamous 1936 Olympics in Berlin, Jesse Owens won 4 gold medals under the scornful eyes of Adolf Hitler, running the US medal count up to a total of 57. The very first medal the US won that year was a silver, and it came from an unlikely competition. Charles Downing Leigh, an architect from New York, surprisingly finished second in town planning, a contest that was heavily rigged in favor of the German entrants. So how did Charles Leigh still manage to win silver? Why was town planning even an Olympic discipline? And what happened to the 12 projects that won Olympic medals for their designs and drafts? Town planning was an Olympic discipline not only in 1936, but also twice before, in 1928 in Amsterdam and in 1932 in Los Angeles. It made its final appearance at the first post-World War II Olympic Games in London in 1948. Town planning was part of the architecture category, which in turn was part of the larger arts category that encompassed everything from music and literature to painting and sculpturing. When Baron de Coubertin revived the Olympics around 1900, he wanted competitions in sports and the arts that challenged the body and the mind. However, all works of art had to be inspired by sports. As a result of the 12 all-time winners in the town planning category, 9 are plans for sports facilities and the remaining 3 plans are for public parks that include sports facilities. Entering the competition was incredibly easy. It was so easy, in fact, that the eventual silver medalist Charles Leigh, who said about standard architectural competitions that they, quote, were too hard to do, quickly submitted his plans without much of a thought. Leigh envisioned turning Marine Park in Brooklyn, New York into the greatest municipal recreation and sports center in the world. His plans included a massive 125,000-seat stadium, a golf course, tennis courts, and swimming pools. Following a pre-selection process, the finalists' designs were displayed in a spectacular exhibition hall just outside the Olympic Stadium. Now, how exactly was the town planning competition rigged? For starters, the judges were all German. And with the Nazis controlling every detail of the games, in a time when free thinking wasn't exactly encouraged in Germany, it is easy to imagine what the regime expected of the judges. Another subtle hint that the competition was rigged from the start: the gold medal went to Werner and Walter March for the so-called Reich Sport Field, the site where the 1936 Olympic Games were held. In fact, they designed the exhibition hall where all the finalists' designs were presented and judged. It's a bit like the 1936 version of the Obama gives himself a medal meme. But if the contest was rigged, why did the Nazis let an American win silver? There are 2 theories as to why, and you can decide which one you find more believable. The first theory is quite straightforward. Don't make the cheating too obvious, just let an American come in second. In the final medal count, only gold medals really matter anyway. Nazi Germany managed to win 38 of them versus the US's 24, giving Hitler the resounding propaganda victory he had planned. The second theory is also quite compelling. 2 years before the Games, Charles Leigh moved to Germany to study what back then were popular German landscape architectural practices. Influenced by what he learned in Germany, he then designed his ambitious plan for Marine Park. Leigh's blueprint and ideas fit the ideals of German park design of the Weimar and Nazi periods. He was heavily inspired by the so-called German Volksparks that were formal, symmetrical, and designed for active sports. This might have swayed the German judges to vote for an American in a competition that was otherwise dominated by Germans. So, what happened to Leigh's plans? You might think that coming home with a silver medal for your park design would all but guarantee the realization of your project. But that's not what happened. Leigh's plans were shelved by New York City officials, mainly by the then director of parks, the infamous Robert Moses, who disliked Leigh. The cost of the project, including the 125,000-seat stadium, was estimated to come in at about $50 million, which, nearly a century of inflation later, would be more than $1 billion. Ultimately, Charles Leigh's admirable ambition and lack of political power led to the demise of his plans. Many of the 12 projects that have ever won Olympic town planning medals share Marine Park's fate. Theodor Nussbaum's 1936 bronze medalist's plans for the city of Cologne never came to fruition, as did all but 2 of the 12 medalists. A fun fact about Ilmari Niemelainen, the 1948 bronze medalist, is that he also happened to compete in diving, finishing 19th in the 10-meter platform. The two plans that were realized are a stadium in Nuremberg and the 1936 gold plans for the Reichssportfield, which I mentioned earlier, today called the Olympiapark Berlin. The stadium and surrounding park and complexes, built by the Nazis for the 1936 Olympics according to the Marx Brothers plans, still exist today. The Olympiastadion hosted the final of the Euros in June of 2024. Thank you to my loyal patrons Did Ickepine, Brian Simpson and Needs More Cowbell for your support. Finally, please subscribe and help me reach 19,000 subscribers.